Hey, good afternoon and welcome again to Electronica 2024. I'm joined this afternoon by Ed Goldman for Siemens. How are you, Ed?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Tell me a little about Siemens and what they're doing here at the show this year.
Yeah. So first of all, today's the first day of Electronica, and we've had a really good showing today. So we're really excited to be here. So what we're actually talking about today is our next generation electronic systems design platform for release that we're actually bringing it out this week in Siemens, and we're showcasing it to the world.
Great. Tell me what's different about it. What's new, and what are you able to do with it?
Well, maybe before we get into that, I just want to orient you to where we were at in Siemens, because Siemens is a ginormous company, and maybe to zero in a little bit. So we're coming from the EDA, or Electronic Design Automation part, under the Digital Industry Software Group.
Right.
So the part where I'm coming from is actually in electronic systems design. So if you think about where EDA is coming from, it's basically, kind of three areas: IC design, IC manufacturing, and then systems design. For us, systems design is once that integrated circuit hits a package and goes from the package into, say, a board. That board might be in a multi-board system. That system goes into a box. You have to do analysis. You ultimately hand it off to manufacturing. It's built on a data layer. That data layer then integrates with wider systems like PLM. So we start where that integrated circuit goes into the package all the way through into manufacturing. We provide software solutions to support those activities.
So all the way through then, really?
Yes.
Yeah. So moving forward, what do you see as the future for your particular division?
Okay, well, first of all, we see a really great future because electronics is in everything and everywhere, right? We're living in a world that is software defined, and what we like to say, software defined but silicon enabled. That software resides on a chip. That chip has to go onto a board. That board goes into a system. Yeah. That's what we do. So, as long as the world continues to electrify, we got a pretty bright future.
Are there specific markets that you're finding you're involved with more at the moment?
I mean, it crosses all industries. Obviously, as more AI is adapted and more compute power is required, then there's just more electrification, more demand for electrification, and that's great for us. But it crosses all industries: aerospace, consumer, automotive, medical, so on and so forth.
Fantastic. So tell me finally, what do you think are the main drivers of the industry at the moment?
Well, okay, so we're releasing this next generation release. It's actually not a new product, but it's a new release or new generation release of our existing portfolio. So if just broadly, if you know a little bit about our portfolio, that's Expedition, Hyperlinks, Innovator 3D IC, PADS Professional, Valor, and ParkQuest. If you know those names, then we're talking about the next generation release. What has driven that is basically three key trends. One, I'm sure you're hearing this throughout the day, is what's happening in the workforce. There's a major workforce transition. We have a pipeline of engineering talent that is really not meeting the needs of organizations. We just don't have enough engineers. Right. While at the same time we have a great attrition of people leaving the workforce, okay? So we have that gap, a great capacity gap. Secondly is just like I talked about before, electronics going everywhere, children's shoes all the way up to system of systems. I mean, there's practically nothing that that does not have electronics today. Yeah. And then lastly, it was really exposed in COVID is supply chain issues, but the volatility that we see with export control, frankly, conflict around the world is amplifying kind of the whole supply chain and re-questioning supply chain, reshoring of manufacturing, protecting semiconductor industries, whether that's European, CHIPS Act in America, just being prepared for that. So we see a pretty big significant storm where our customers don't have enough capacity to meet the demands of growing demand of electronics, coupled with that perfect storm of volatility, supply chain volatility. So what we've done is we brought this release out with really a number of key attributes. I'll just touch on maybe
sure.
3 of them.
Yeah.
There's more, but let's just touch on 3 of them. One is intuition. So the expectation of an engineer today, especially somebody that's coming in, is really to be up and running and productive very quickly. In our heritage, in EDA, we would deliver tools that are expert tools, but really, at the end of the day, they needed to be. You needed to be an expert to be able to use them,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
But we live in the iPhone where I want one button, be able to up out of the box and get ready. So we built this next generation release on the latest UX principles. So if you're a new, somebody new, you can get ramped up quickly. If you are an experienced engineer, but you do operations infrequently, your muscle memory may not be there. You can pivot in and out of that. Another attribute is AI, right?
Sure.
So I talked about the gap between, the capacity. We don't have enough talent. We don't have enough pipeline. We have a workforce that is leaving. So while they have more demand, so we need to infuse AI throughout our tools so that we can close that gap.
Yeah.
And then lastly is cloud. Cloud connectivity. So, electronics is not developed, in a discrete location. It's across a value chain. I'm working with partners. I'm working with suppliers. I need to query, component availability or have supply chain insights. I also, may need to scale up. Say if I have to do some very extensive simulation, for example. So cloud and cloud connectivity is a huge part of it.
Sure.
I did lie to you, actually. Because I said 3 attributes, but I do want to talk about one last attribute.
You talk about as many as you want.
Okay, so security, a big issue is security. So export control that we're living with, I talked about the volatility that our customer, that we're facing. There's a lot of export control. How do I protect IP? How do I protect data? So our customers are asking us to provide data access protection. Who gets what data where. If I'm an engineer here based in Germany, but I need to go to another country, my data access may be restricted,
sure.
even if I have rights to data in my home country of Germany or the US or wherever. So that's what we're delivering, and making sure that our software itself is developed in a secure manner that eliminates vulnerabilities to things like cyber attack, malware, and so forth. So that's what we're releasing today. We're very excited. We're really excited to showcase it. Our customers are really excited about it, and can't wait to show more of this.
Fantastic. Well, you got me excited about it.
Okay.
That's great. Listen, thanks ever so much for your time. It's been great having you here, and good luck with the rest of the show.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Bye.